Welcome to Season 4 of John McGivern's Main Streets.
I hope there are some open cup holders in our crew van.
The Main Streets podcast takes you behind the scenes of this popular PBS Wisconsin program. Now, get the inside scoop on this week's episode from hosts John McGivern and Emmy Fink and the Main Streets producer and director Lois Maurer.
We were in Peru. No, not the country. It's the city in Illinois, LaSalle, Peru, which are like sister cities, and it's episode 7 of season 4, and we just got back. Hi, Lois.
Hey, John.
Hi, Emmy.
Hi, John.
Good to see you.
Great to see you.
And Evan was our producer of this episode of these Twin Cities, LaSalle, Peru. Hey, Evan.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, sure.
Now
The choice was limited, just so you know.
because, Evan was the content producer of this episode, so
Right.
It's quite appropriate that you're here, Evan.
Did you know LaSalle, Peru before you did it?
I think I had heard of LaSalle, just like in passing, but I didn't know anything about it.
Right. And you went and did a site survey.
Yes.
Can you talk about the site survey?
Yes. The area was suggested by Lois's friend Susan that worked on around the corner. It's where she grew up. And LaSalle and Peru are kind of sister cities. So she recommended just doing both together. And she had a friend, Sherry, who knows everybody in town and everything about the town. So we got together with her and Bill Zenz from the Illinois Valley Chamber of Commerce. So that area is called the Illinois Valley. And they took us around and we saw every corner of that town. And there is so much going on in LaSalle and Peru that it was really whittling down.
And it's known for what? It's
Zinc.
known, the history of LaSalle.
Zinc.
What is it?
Zinc.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah. And what company do we all know, which the young kids here may not know, but what company was roots were really deep in that city?
I know.
I'll help you out. West Clacks.
West Clocks. Yeah.
Which you said
just
you had.
Find that out?
Evan, you should have known that one.
John, you said you have several West Clocks.
Oh, I do. We all do.
Right.
People of my age still have them.
Right. My mom and dad have several, all
There
the
you go.
little ones.
Yeah.
They had some traveling
Yes.
alarm clocks
Right.
that were innovative back in the 70s and 80s.
Now,
where
it's
like-
not there anymore, West Clocks. The factory is not there anymore, but that little museum that has all of those in there,
Oh, my
don't you
Lord.
wish you could buy them in there? We
Well,
were like, oh,
Yeah.
this
And
is
you walk
so
in there, it's
cool.
like, I know that. I know that. I remember that. Oh, look at that. I forgot all about that. It was so great to
Yeah.
reconnect with that.
The person who worked there had such enthusiasm for sharing all of the West Clocks history.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember he would point out like their employee badge tags and show us their bowling news, and it was
Yeah, all the newsletters
Loved
that they
it.
did. That was a community. That was back when a workplace was also a social network.
Mm-hmm.
And all the families that worked at West Clocks hung
Right.
out and knew each other, and they bowled together, and they played bass. I mean, it was
And the museum is
different.
in the building that used to be the factory.
right,
Yeah.
right, which is now converted into a lot of different stuff that's in that building. So it's
Yeah.
a really good example of historic preservation and reuse, which I really liked because there's a lot of artists in that building now, and there's a lot going on. There's a restaurant, and so it's still, and that's in Peru, and that's right on the main drag in Peru, and it still feels like kind of the heart of that town.
Yeah. Was that directly across the street from the restaurant?
Yeah, from the Time Kitchen. Yeah.
Time
Get it?
Craft Kitchen?
Time West Clock.
Yeah. Except it's spelled T-Y,
THY.
T-H-Y-M-E. So Time.
That's why
I
it's
thought it's-
clever.
Really
Oh,
clever.
Right.
Robin
Yes.
Anthony,
Yeah.
Robin Anthony who owned it. So business partners who worked in Chicago, and they decided as they were working in Chicago that they wanted to get to a place that was easier to live in, that was a much more laid back, even though running a restaurant it has nothing to do with being laid. You know.
Ever, no matter where you are.
Right. But they sure put a beautiful spot on the map. And I had a great time. I love that what we did there too, that we went to the kitchen first and then we sat around the table and shared, broke bread together, the three of us. And it was,
Yeah, the three of you, while the three of us on the crew stood there going, oh my God, we're hungry.
which I never really
Had
think
to
about
watch
that.
them eat for like an hour. Just kidding, it worked out well.
It did. Yeah, that was it was a good place and certainly a go-to place in town.
So,
Your favorite?
well, I'm just going to guess that May's Nails was not a nail salon because I wasn't there.
No.
But
No.
we have somebody repping the hat here. So
yeah.
tell me what May's Nails is.
Again, one of my favorite things.
I think it
Ever.
might have been. I know, that was so interesting.
They make nails, all sort of nails,
Like
custom
pounding,
nails,
like
Pounding
pounding
nails,
nails.
not
Yeah.
your fingernails.
not fingernails.
Yes.
No. So it's a huge factory that's been there forever because nails have been,
Needed for everything.
forever. So I could not wait to maybe see if I could grab some nails. And we left with a yardstick. Which I was like, wait, what's with the yardstick?
He didn't give you a packet of nails?
I think I could have grabbed some,
Yeah.
to be honest, because we saw
Amazing.
amazing maze nails. But
May's Nails is one of the only places in America that makes nails anymore at all. And they cover them still in zinc, which is their roots there. And the whole thing came about because of May's Lumber. The family had a lumber mill. And when they were trying to ship out their lumber and people were building with it, they had all these really crummy nails. And so the owner at that time said, we'll just make our own. We have all the zinc here. We can pellet them. And now the nail factory is certainly a ton bigger than their lumber company.
Wow. So of all different sizes.
Oh,
yeah.
from tiny little 1/4 inch
Sure.
long nails till they have one on display that's literally 3 feet long. So,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah.
He was a good guy too.
Roloff. His name is hard for me to say. Roloff.
You nailed it.
He what?
Oh,
You nailed it.
you
I nailed it?
He
Oh.
nailed it,
Oh,
didn't
my
he?
God.
Roll lift.
He was
Yeah.
fantastic. And that was when we did the site survey. I just remember coming out of there and us two being geeked out like kids going, that's the best thing I ever saw.
We spent a lot of time in front of the Hagler Karras Mansion. Do you remember?
Yes.
And we spent some time in there as well.
Do you remember the time we spent outside of there? It was 120
It was-
degrees.
It was the two of us.
That was when she
At
sat
that
us on that hot
bench.
bench.
Well,
I put my sweatshirt down so you wouldn't burn your buttocks.
she put the sweatshirt down and then she picked it up. I thought we were going to sit on the sweatshirt, remember?
No.
And she was like, no, when she pulled the sweatshirt up and then
No,
we had
you
to
would-
sit on the
Right.
hot bench.
Right. You would see it in the shot, she said.
You would have seen it in the shot.
Yeah, we still have
Well, it's all
third
about how
degree
it looks.
burns on our glutes. But as long as the shot looked good.
And the mansion was beautiful on the outside. And on the inside, it was one of the few places that we went into that is not finished.
Yes.
That they're in the middle of restoring this mansion. So it was really interesting to get in there and see the rooms that are finished and the rest that aren't. So it was really quite the tour of what it was and what it's going to be.
Are you surprised they let you go in at a time like that? Because most would be like, you know what, not right now. It's in the middle of a renovation.
Yeah.
That's cool they did.
No, I'm not surprised because they are open to the public every day because they make their story of renovation part of what they tour now. Come on in and see how it is. And we want to bring it back. And so it's also like PR for them to bring it back, but the bones are all there. And some of the original, wallpaper is on the wall and they show how they have to recreate it and, ceilings. Isn't that the one that has the Turner gym
The
in
gym,
the basement?
yeah. One of the oldest gyms in the country.
It's stunning. I mean, and that's all original stuff that's down there.
Yeah.
And you look at that and talk about working out, Emmy, you would be like, I am not hanging from those rings
Right.
for, half an hour. It's really something.
Wow.
Your home gym, it was there.
I would have loved it.
Yeah.
Glamping took on a whole new meaning for me at Camp Aramoni. I mean, this place right near Starved Rock State Park.
Right.
If you are looking for a place to stay that is elevated camping, this is it.
Have you booked already?
I have looked into it.
You have.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I mean, they have a coffee and a cocktail bar. And I mean, truly, were you expecting, because what were they basically like yurts?
But
Like
very
safari
more
tents.
Yeah.
Yes.
Safari
very more
tent.
substantial.
Except you walk in and you you're at a boutique hotel.
Yeah.
Yep. And that family what was she doing? Wasn't she doing something else and she decided that she wanted to take over this land that used to be a rock
Electrician.
quarry?
Yes, a rock quarry.
Yeah.
You're right.
The family was like, they have a company, they're electricians, but they wanted just like a side hustle for fun. And they bought this, I think they made bricks.
Bricks.
So they
That's
made
what it
bricks
It was a
there.
brickyard.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was all this land. So they said, let's turn this into a glamping campground. And they did a really good job of preserving the old buildings from the brickyard and turning them into something really cool.
And it's all native plants. So it's not like staying in the middle of a forest. It's really kind of an open field and all native. They've been very respectful of their environment because people are still, even though it's glamping, you are still out in the environment. There could be, wild animals and stuff like that, but you can't drive your cars all over it either. You need to park down and then walk up because, they're really respectful.
Starved Rock State Park, one of the largest attendance anywhere in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, it was like,
So I actually knew about this area before you had said that we were coming here because we have friends in Michigan and it's a halfway point for us to meet there. So we have gone to LaSalle, Peru for the last 8 or 9 years, like every other year, and have met and ate at those restaurants and have done Airbnbs there and have stayed at the resort there with the water park and the kids and let the kids play. So it was really fun to experience a whole different side of it. But Starved Rock has some amazing hiking.
Oh, nice.
Stunning.
Oh, missed it.
We didn't do it obviously for the show, but
No.
I have personally, so I can just speak to that.
Oh, it's,
You know what else I liked? Spending some time with a realtor. We don't talk to realtors on the show.
No.
We talked with a woman, Martha Moscosa, who was a realtor and a member of a parish, St. Hyacinth.
Yes,
So we got in the church. The pastor of the church, Father, came through and said, could you do me a favor when you're done? Let me show you how to turn the lights off and lock it up. It's like perfect. So we interviewed her and met her family.
yeah.
Right inside the church, and she talked about real estate and talked about housing and homes in the
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
So that was fun.
And they're a Latino family, and there's a big Latino population there.
Huge Latino
So
population.
they are very tight, and St. Hyacinth, is that how you say that?
Yeah.
St. Hyacinth is kind of that meeting place. And
Right.
so it was just great to get that perspective of a resident that lives and works there. It was very cool.
TBM Avengers
My favorite thing from the whole episode.
from the whole episode.
Oh my gosh. I had no
World-
idea what a TBM Avenger was. Did you?
No.
Did you, Evan,
World
when you found
War
out about
II.
it?
I don't currently, so go ahead and tell.
they are planes from World War II. They're bombers. And Peru has a little airport, and every year they hold this big festival where a bunch of people who own these relic planes fly them in, and they all just kind of hang out and go for rides and show off their planes.
And Brad Deckert,
Brad
and
Deckert.
his wife.
He's a pilot. We had to work around his crop dusting schedule to get his interview done. And he's kind of the reason this festival happens in Peru.
The day we arrived, you know that he was crop dusting and his plane caught on fire.
Really?
Yes.
No.
And yes. We were like, did you parachute out? He said, no, I made it down. But it was like, what's going on? Oh, my plane's on fire. It was like, wait, really?
Yeah, we were like, why are you so calm?
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
And he still came and did your
He
interview?
sure did. He said, now I got all the time in the world.
Wow.
The history of these bombers, though, is percentage of those that torpedo, they threw torpedoes, and the percentage of those that really hit their target was less than 10%. So they built all of these planes for World War II that less than 10% ever really kind of did any advantage for the war effort. Yeah. And when they went out, those that lost lives and those that they were more torpedoed. They were more hit than by the enemy than they were. That gave us any advantage in the war.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's less than 100 of these planes left, and there's only like a couple
That are
dozen
flight-worthy, right?
that are flight worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
President George H.W. Bush flew one in World War II and was shot down in his plane and was rescued.
Isn't that
Well,
something?
there you go.
Yeah.
See, told you really didn't work well.
Yeah.
But Brad gives a great tour, and he has other people's planes in there too.
Yeah.
Remember, there was 2 of them in there, his and another one who was kind of like pit stopped or something. And
He was working on it.
he was working on his plane
Yeah.
in Brad's hangar, and they were just let him climb all around this plane. You got to go up there and see where people sat, and
Yeah.
it was really interesting.
You know, you think
And
about
the event that they have when all the planes come together is one of the biggest events in town through the course of the year.
Yeah.
Well, when you started talking about the event, it reminded me of the EEA in Oshkosh.
Yeah.
Where
They've all been there, he said.
I'm
Everybody that
sure.
flies these planes have all been to the EAA as well.
it just shows you the variety of segments and interviews that you will see on the show and how it's so different. Every episode is so different based on what is their thing. And that's what I think is so cool. And you know, you and Lois do such a good job at those site surveys of finding these like interesting stories that you just don't know of otherwise.
The thing I love about producing for these smaller communities too is everything is so casual. So like Brad was unavailable the day of our site survey. So I never met him before you all shot with him. And so our Sherry, who was helping show us around town, said, yeah, I'll just give you his phone number. So I just kind of cold called him and was like, hey, we got this travel show. We'd love to do a segment on your plane. He's like, oh, yeah. Just have him pull up to my hangar. Just make sure it's not what I'm crop dusting. And that was like it. That was how we produced the segment.
I love it.
It was good.
We had some inside track on LaSalle, Peru, though,
Yeah,
from
for
our
sure.
friends, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Evan had the best site survey of his life in
Yeah.
LaSalle, Peru.
G&O, Girls Night Out. It was a good time.
Gee, I know. I bet you gave these ladies a thrill, Evan, just by being along.
No, poor Evan. I have to tell you, it was me and Susan and Sherry. We're all kind of the same, generation, if you will. And Evan, he's literally younger than my oldest son. So it was like this poor guy being dragged around by his mother and her aunts.
The canal, remember the canal?
So the I&M Canal was a really fascinating story. Didn't you think, Evan?
Yes.
Did you know that story before we got there?
Yeah, they decided we need to connect the Great Lakes to the Mississippi River. And that's kind of what put Chicago on the map, is they said, this is where we're going to start this canal. And that's the reason Chicago is in Illinois instead of Wisconsin, is because people in Illinois were in charge of the canal. And they said, no, we want it to be in Chicago. We want it to be our town.
Yeah, but they dug this thing by hand
Yeah.
in the 1800s.
Yeah, I think it was 90-something miles.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of people came to LaSalle, Peru, was because that was work. And they were able to dig this thing. We're talking pickaxes and shovels. But the way they did it is by flatbed boats. Let's call them kind of flat boats. They looked, the one that they have still there as a tourist attraction looks like kind of a steamship, okay? It looks like a taller 2-story. Think of white rails and, rounded windows and the big paddle wheel on the back. Except that there's no steam-powered paddle wheel. It's pulled by a mule. So there's a road, a path right next to the river that goes all the way down the canal, and the boat is hooked up to a mule, and the mule just walks and pulls this all the way down the canal. So we were super excited to get there, and we were going to shoot the mule and the boat, and the mule wasn't feeling well. We're not that going to shoot the mule. We were not going to shoot the mule. Let me rephrase.
Film the mule.
We were going to film the mule pulling the boat.
But the mule was under the weather.
Yes.
And we were like, how do you know?
Right. And it's only one mule that does this?
One
they
mule.
don't work like horses, like in teams?
No, just one. And
because if you're pulling a big heavy thing on water, it's easy. So it's like he said, these mules have the easiest job of most working mules. So this is an easy job for a mule, but I think this guy was old.
He was an old mule.
He was an old mule, but a big mule, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
Weren't we
older than you because you got to go meet him, remember?
I was like, are you sure
He
this isn't a horse? He said, no, it's a mule. I'm like, it's the biggest mule I've ever seen. Well, yes, he is. I was like, okay, well.
Remember, what's the definition of a mule?
It's it's a donkey and a horse that get together and be like, whoopee. And then they have a mule. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
What's the advantage of a mule over a donkey or a horse? Why do you want to make a mule?
Are they
Is
stronger?
this a joke?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
I don't know why.
I don't know, but they do it.
Well, they must be stronger. Is that why?
And you know,
the
mules
same-
can't mate, just so you know.
Oh, that's sad.
Mules can't mate?
No, they have to keep a horse and a donkey making a new mule. Mules don't get together and have more mules. I learned so much on this. Joe.
Why don't they?
Wow. Have they ever
I don't
tried?
think they're genetically capable because they're a mutant themselves.
Evan?
I'd have to look it up.
I have to look it up. Okay, please do, Evan. Cool.
LaSalle, Peru. It's in Illinois. It's episode 7. We have a fan shout out, Chuck Bonner from Ocala, Florida. Well, how great that Chuck from Ocala watches the show, obviously on YouTube. I bet his parents who live in maybe Janesville told him he should check it out. But thanks, Chuck, for watching. And always good to talk to you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, John.
See you next week, John.
See you, Evan.
See ya.
Want to wear something that's going to support your favorite show? Shop at Main Street Store. Proceeds go to help us get next season into production. So come on, go shopping at mainstreets.tv.